Gentlemen, when was the last time you were able to make a decision, any kind of decision, without having to run it by someone else first? If you are married or in a committed romantic relationship, you may have discovered that your ability to make decisions has been suspended. This is not a good place to live. Today, I want to talk a little bit about being single. Why having autonomy, having independence, having freedom to control your destiny, to enjoy your life 100% is absolutely better than being in a bad marriage. Let's put it that way. Today, we're going to talk about why being single is absolutely, especially after the age of 40, the way to go. There is nothing in marriage that you can't get out here in the free, wild world. This is Life 2.0. Let's talk about it. Today, I was reminded of just how valuable it is to be single, autonomous, free, and comfortable in your own body, in your own skin, in your own life. I was talking to a really great guy, one of the viewers, and he had a really wonderful experience in his marriage. He was married for 40 years, and he was left a widower. She died some years back. Shortly after she passed away, and she had a long illness, he got on the dating apps and he met some woman who seemed really great at the beginning, but that relationship quickly devolved, I guess, into something that really wasn't good for either of them. It became a negative experience. It put a really bad taste in his mouth. And it made him want to find someone more like his long gone wife. And I told him that he needed to first get the hang of what it's like to be single again. What's it like to be in his own skin? Appreciate the value that comes from being single. You see, it's only through the confidence you build by being comfortable in your own skin, by enjoying your time, by understanding the value that you bring to the world and to potentially someone else's life, that makes you worthwhile as a man. If you have any feeling of emptiness or neediness or incompleteness, then you're probably not in the right position or the right place to have a relationship. Because inevitably, you're going to be faced with a decision at some point in that relationship if you start dating someone who's not right for you. And you're going to compromise. You're going to make a mistake. You're going to end up settling for someone that's going to ruin your life. So I want to talk a little bit about the value of being single, even if it's just for a while, even if it's just for a few years, and why you need to get to know yourself again, why you need to really explore the solitude and the confidence you get from being on your own. The truth is, most guys over age 40 really do not know who they are. They've gone from being a child in their parents' house to perhaps going on to school, and then you end up being a product of your friends, to then maybe joining the military or joining some corporation, and then you're sort of a product of that culture. And then maybe you got married or had a long-term girlfriend, and then you become a product of that, constantly morphing yourself from one thing to another, never fully establishing yourself as yourself. In fact, just even knowing who you are, free and clear of all these other influences, is pretty difficult to do, if not impossible. But the only way you're going to do it, the only way you're going to get there, is on your own, with the thoughts in your own head. Now, this isn't some, woo-woo stuff. There's a lot of science behind this that shows that people who are single have the ability to live more autonomously than other people. And what that means is they make decisions free and clear of other people's opinions. in today's hyper-connected world, it's very difficult to hear your own thoughts, to know, is this an authentic opinion that you actually have? Or is this something that's being programmed into your head by, whoever's trying to get your attention, by some algorithm or by some political party or whatever? When you start to take stock of who you are as a person, as a man, and you start to understand those things that are most important to you, what values you hold dear, it becomes really easy to live an authentic life that you will appreciate. If you've been married, then you know what it's like to surrender your autonomy, at least to some degree. Because you probably had to go shopping for throw pillows or curtains, or you've been at Bed Bath & Beyond back when they existed. And you're thinking to yourself as you're pushing around a cart with a woman in front of you, what the hell am I doing here? Why am I spending my day off walking around this stupid store shopping for something I don't care about? You're doing it because you want her to feel supported. That's why you're doing it. You're a good husband. You want her to feel supported. You want to be there for her. You want to hang out with your wife. Yeah, that's an obligation that you sense that you have when you're in a marriage. And probably rightly so. You feel like you got that obligation, you probably do. But when you're not married, when you're single, well, you don't have that obligation. So rather than going shopping for throw pillows on Saturday morning, you can go for a hike with your dogs. You can find some beautiful little spot like this, even though it's like crazy, crazy hot. And it's not the morning, this is the afternoon on one of the hottest days of the year. So excuse me if I'm sweating like a pig. But yeah, it's still much nicer here than it could possibly be at some big box store shopping for something I don't care about. You know what I mean? Financial autonomy. That is something that when you're married, you lose a lot of control over. And it's not because you're a weak man that you lose control of your financial autonomy. It's because it's just not worth the fight. It just becomes, it's not worth the fight. And something needs to get done and she can do it. And you're like, just do it. Go to Target, get whatever you need, just do it. Just don't bother me with it anymore. That's the psychology. What you're saying is, of course, honey, please take my credit card, get what you need. But that financial autonomy, to not waste money on stupid shit, is really valuable. Not just in the current moment being able to have more money on hand, but for the future, to be able to actually save money so that when you want to go on a really nice vacation or buy something special, it'll be there for you. It hasn't been wasted on stuff that's probably going to end up getting thrown out in a year or two anyway. So, having the autonomy to use your time the way you want to use it, use your money the way you want to use it, to develop a relationship with yourself, to spend your time doing the things that fulfill you, and being able to distinguish between right and wrong by disconnecting from all of that bullshit. And the thing is, when you have a relationship with a woman, you have to make some sacrifices, not just sacrifices, what I'm thinking about, the right word is you're having to give in to her opinion from time to time. Like you have to make allowances for the way she sees the world. You can't just tell her she's stupid. You got to actually listen to it. And you got to maybe consider her perspective for a while and decide whether or not you want to have an argument about this or not. But when you're single, you don't have to do that. If some woman tells you something stupid and you don't want to be with her anymore, well, you can just say, you know something, honey, that's really stupid. And you can walk away. End of story. You know, sometimes in the courtship stage with a woman, there are some things you take for granted and you just assume that you guys have similar tastes based on other stuff. That's not always the case. And for me, that was true. My wife and I have completely different taste in music. And I never really thought that much about it until after 22 years of driving around in a car with her, I was unable to listen to the music that I wanted to listen to without potentially offending her. Even if she never even said anything, I just knew it. You know, it's that silence, that stare, that like, that gasp. You know what I mean? When I'm listening to AC/DC or Iron Maiden or something like that, which is music that I authentically enjoy. Led Zeppelin, I mean, this is music from my generation. This is music that I love. And separating myself from that music and her presence was always a sacrifice. But today, I listen to whatever I want, you know? And it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Same thing with television, you know? Watching TV shows that might be offensive to some women, It's okay when you're single. And it's an authentic expression of yourself. And for whatever reason, we men think that we need to sacrifice ourselves in relationships to accommodate their preferences, when we have our own preferences. And for whatever reason, we don't respect ourselves enough to honor our own preferences. Why is that? Why is that? When you're single, you don't have to worry about that. It's only one person's preferences that matter, yours. You do it the way you want, you enjoy your life, you're in a better mood all the time. When you're in a better mood all the time, you meet more people. When you meet more people, you get more opportunities. When you get more opportunities, you make more money. And life just gets better. Do you see what I mean? When you're in a marriage, you're constantly aware of what's going on with her. You're constantly thinking about, is there something that you should be doing to help her make her life easier? And that is a terrible way to live. That is an absolutely terrible way to live. I look back on it now and I wonder to myself, how on earth did I make it that long? Honest to God, 20 couple years of constantly worrying about someone else's well-being, all the while sacrificing my own for her, on her behalf. That is a terrible way to live. Being single for the last 5 years has been the most eye-opening, life-changing, enlightening experience that I've ever experienced. Now, for you guys who are just leaving marriages, I gotta tell you, it's not easy at first. I mean, it's gonna be hard because you're used to waking up to some little person next to you, she's gonna rub her feet against you or whatever. Yeah, you get past that. Honestly, it's really, whatever little niceties that you get, that you miss, pale in comparison to the freedom and the enjoyment that you get just from a daily experience in your life. The opportunity to really appreciate being alive in your body, in this time, in this place, and having these experiences. That is what life is supposed to be about. That is what we're here to do. Really appreciate the opportunity to be alive. We have been brainwashed and socialized and God knows what to believe that we are deficient in some way unless we have a partner, a woman, someone to spend our life with, to dedicate ourselves to provide and protect. No, you don't need any of that stuff. You really don't. You can get a dog or 2 or 3. You can have as many dogs as you want. They need providing and protecting. Sometimes they come across snakes and turtles and stuff and I need to step in and try to help them out. But yeah, it's a completely different world. And I'm sorry for you guys who were not experiencing it. I really am. Because if you're not having this kind of experience in your life, then you're really missing what life was meant to be. And that is one where you put your needs at the center of it, and then you reach out and help others when you have the opportunity, giving other people the opportunity to experience life to its fullest. That's what life is supposed to be. Enjoying it yourself and helping others do the same. The Stoic philosophers understood this, 1,000 years ago or whatever, and it's not that you don't want to have someone in your life, you don't want to share your life with someone, or you don't enjoy sharing time with other people, you don't enjoy the company of others. It's none of that. It's not like you're being some kind of a hermit. It's not that. It's that you don't need someone else in your life, that you are complete in your own right, on your own, that you enjoy your own company, that the voice in your head is enough for you. You don't need to hear someone else's opinion, someone else's idea, someone else's thoughts about what's right or wrong for you. When you have that sense of peace, that you are enough for yourself, then you are complete. And your life is your own. So long as you feel like you need someone else in your life, you need to have a girlfriend, you need to have a wife, you need to have a partner, you need to have someone there to make you feel whole, you're not. You'll never be whole. You're always going to be incomplete. And you're always going to be beholden to that person. She's always going to have a handle on you. She's always going to have a hold on you. She's always going to have control over you. You're never going to fully understand what it means to live life on your terms. And that would be a terrible way to live. That is a terrible way to live. I have lived that life. And I'm telling you, that life is not worth whatever you think you're getting from it. You're just not getting it. If you're over 40 and you haven't given some thought to your health, then you probably should be. Single guys tend to be much healthier than married guys. And the reason for that is that married guys are complacent. They oftentimes have a negative state of mind because they're living in a relationship that they hate. Most of them are. They're looking for dopamine hits from food, so they're chowing down on junk food a lot of the time. They don't get off the couch very much, and when they do, it's to run errands for her. They're not going to the gym. They're not taking pride in their bodies. They're not concerned about their health. In fact, I think a lot of them are quietly just wishing it would all end in the haze of a giant double cheeseburger, bacon cheeseburger or something like that, you know? Just one last bite and then you grab your chest and fall over. Yeah, that's no way to live. But single guys, they're at the gym. They're doing stuff. They're climbing mountains. They're riding bikes. They're involved in stuff. They're playing softball. They're out there on the golf course. They're doing things that light up their lives. You know, they're doing things that make them feel good about themselves. They're doing things that improve their health. And with that improved health comes an improved state of mind. And when you've got an improved state of mind, yeah, you're happier all the time. And when you're happier all the time, you meet more people. And when you meet more people, you get more opportunities. When you get more opportunities, life just gets better all the time, all the time. But when you're dealing with a relationship that sucks, the cycle goes the other way. You know, it's like, God, I'm in a really bad mood today. I think I'm gonna eat something that makes me feel really bad. And when you feel really bad, well, you're not very social. You don't meet very many people. So you think the whole world sucks. Next thing you know, your attitude is in the tank and you wish you were dead. No new opportunities, no good life. No life is great. No feeling of appreciation for this opportunity to be here now. You just feel like life sucks. And so many married guys are in that hole. They call stress the silent killer. And they call it that because you don't realize the effect that it's having on your body until it happens. And then it all happens at once. Stress is behind most autoimmune diseases. Stress is probably the underlying contributing factor to most chronic illnesses, including cancer, heart disease, diabetes, all of it. When you're stressed out all the time, what that's meaning is that your body's in that fight or flight mode. Your sympathetic nervous system is turned on and you are always on edge. So your body's secreting these hormones that liberates, glucose from your muscles, and it's floating around your body at a higher rate than it should be, which causes your body to have a greater level of inflammation, which causes all kinds of chronic illnesses all by itself. And there is nothing more stressful that I have experienced in my life than being married for 22 years. Now, that wasn't always stressful all the time, but I'll tell you what, it was stressful a lot of the time. Especially those last couple of years, it was super stressful. In comparison, these last 5-ish, 6 years of being single, the stress has been dropping year after year after year. And my level of life satisfaction has been increasing year after year after year. I hardly have any stress at all. Probably my most stressful thing is I have an invalid dog that you guys have not met. His name is Rascal. He's like 16 years old. He's blind and he's deaf, and he's lost control of his bowels and his bladder. So wiping up after him is probably the most stressful thing I have to do. And the thought of having to put this little guy down after 16 years because he can't hold his urine that's the most stressful thing in my life. That's it. It's not that bad. It's really not that bad. That's it. So if your life is filled with stress, keep in mind that this is going to have an effect not only on your physical health, but on your mental health. Single guys have the lowest rates of mental health problems. Married guys, if you're not seeing a therapist because of your wife, then you're seeing a shrink to get some kind of drug so you can deal with her on a day-to-day basis. Trust me. Or you're self-medicating with drugs and alcohol. Yeah, it's not a way to live. It's just not a way to live. When you let go of all that and you come to terms with who you are as a man and you become more autonomous and you start living your life from an authentic place, you find peace. And when you find peace of mind. One of the things that guys ask me is about dating all the time. They ask me, John, are you dating? Are you going to be dating? Or what's it like dating? Dating is something I don't feel pressure to do. I do have a low-grade relationship with a woman now, but I'm not so sure that it's going to go anywhere. It's fine, you know. She's a nice girl. I enjoy talking to her. But I don't know that I necessarily want to take it to the next level. Do you know what I mean? Once you've gotten out of relationships and you've found yourself in this place of autonomy, giving it up is really, really hard to do. And this woman, she's really beautiful and she's young and she's really got it all going on. There's a lot of stuff I like about her. But do I want to trade what I have now for that? Whew, no, I don't. Simple. It's an easy answer. I don't. I know where that path leads. I know that in our heads as men, we try to tell ourselves that there's going to be some fantasy experience, some fantasy relationship that we're going to have with this woman. And then it's just going to be delightful and wonderful, and she's going to be making you pancakes and stuff like that. And no, it doesn't turn out like that. She's going to have needs and demands and expectations, and she's going to have a plan of her own. And next thing you know, you're yielding your life for hers. Don't do it. Don't do it. Date. Go out to the movies, have dinner, have sex, say goodbye. Do it again next week. That's what dating should be. Taking it beyond that is probably not going to be something you enjoy in the long run. Yeah, it sounds like fun in the beginning. There's all that excitement and all the fun of getting together and moving her stuff into your drawers and stuff like that. Yeah, that passes fast. You know, that happiness, that sense of excitement goes away quickly. And suddenly now you just have a roommate who is taking up space, using your stuff, costing you money, and has demands that she's placing on you. Honestly, that's what you end up with. Why would you want that? Why would you want that? Having the opportunity to decide who you are authentically, from the inside out, not from the outside in, is a rare experience these days because of the interconnectedness that we experience. Being able to shut out the world, quiet the constant demands for your attention, and focus in on who you are and what your values are and what you want from your life, and then do it. And then just decide that you're going to do it. Set the goal and move in that direction and achieve the things that you want for yourself. Not because it makes anyone else happy, but simply because it's what you want, regardless of what anyone else thinks about it. It's just your thing. That's priceless. It's priceless. There is no amount of kitty cat stuff, if you know what I mean, that you could exchange for that would be fair. None. None. I don't care how pretty she is. I don't care how hot she is, how sexy she is, how much she enjoys screwing you. It does not matter. It does not matter. None of it is worth having your peace of mind, your authentic self, your own goals, control of your own time. All of those things are so much more valuable than any relationship you can have. All right, you guys. I think I've said enough on this topic. If you know someone who is considering getting divorced or is going through a separation and maybe needs to get cheered up a little bit, please share this video with them. Hopefully it'll motivate them to feel good about where they are and to look for the opportunities and the opportunity to appreciate the experience that they're having, because it's there. If you just open your mind to it, there's an opportunity to appreciate your solitude, appreciate being single. And once you find yourself in that place, you're going to be really hard-pressed to ever give it up. All right, have a good one. Till next time, stay stay healthy, and if you can, stay single.